The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay, and we're underway in the John Madden Legacy game. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first, and Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden, this is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL, and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
Now Favre. Got a man. It's Randy Moss, complete. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
Wisnowski on to punt as he sends this one away. And this ball is going to be touched down just shy of midfield. So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in a conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came up late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
And now they face a 2nd and 6 after the penalty. Now a carry for Allen. Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. Was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there, during that time, I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
They'll throw on first down with Favre. And that, incomplete. Daylight in front if he could have held on, but he didn't. So instead, it's 2nd down. Shotgun snap, and then the give to Sanders. And he'll get only a couple up to the 22. Charles, you know, it was in the early